love to. This is Mick. Can you hear me?
I think I hear a voice.
Give us a few more minutes. We're having some technical issues.
I'm hearing a lot of feedback.
This is Joe. It's same thing.
What are you guys hearing?
Feedback, almost like a reverberation.
Yeah, it's like there's another microphone open in the room, maybe 10 feet away, that's echoing.
Can you hear us?
I hear you. This is Mick. I hear you fine, Marnie.
Okay, I think whatever the other mic was, we've got it off.
Good morning, everybody. This is Mayor Mendoza. Sorry for the technical issues, and we're getting started a little late here. Today is the special meeting agenda, May the 6th, 2020, special workshop session. Everyone that's dialed in on Zoom, you hear that? Are you guys getting any feedback?
Yeah, the echo's back.
Yes, the echo's back.
Okay, how about now?
You have to talk for us to know.
Can you hear now? No echo?
I didn't hear it when you spoke, but I did when Joe spoke.
Joe, can you speak again?
Sure, this is Joe.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming from you, Joe.
Yeah,
Well, I have
Joe's
only
a
one
talker.
microphone. I have no other microphones open.
Joe, you need to stop talking.
Turn down his volume. Can you turn down your volume, Joe?
How's this?
I don't hear it. I hear you, but I don't hear the echo.
I still hear the echo from you guys, so
Yeah, I hear it.
I hear the echo.
Okay, everybody, stand by.
How about you sit by?
So what I'm getting from this side is everybody has their microphone on, then we're getting the echo. So we need to go one microphone at a time. And Jacqueline basically has those, right? You have those controls to open up the microphone? Okay, so if you want to open up your mic to speak and then shut your mic off after you speak. Does everybody get that?
Yes.
How many people do I have on the line? Wow, okay. Okay. Okay, everybody. So again, sorry for the technical difficulties. So we are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and if you want to participate in the meeting, we're asking you to join on Zoom. And we're going to open up the meeting now to item 1, which is public comment. Do I have any public comment? And we're going to give it a couple minutes for people to come in with their public comment. So stand by. Okay, seeing that there's been no public comment on our different live streams, I'd like to go ahead and go into item 2, which is the workshop. And Wes, can you give us a little background, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to, for a little background for everybody, this is a continuation of February 26th cannabis workshops. The changes that were requested at the 26th workshop meeting are highlighted on page 2 of the agenda, which is displayed on the screen currently. So what's going to happen next is Kyle Tankard with SEI Consulting will walk us through the presentation. We'll open the floor for discussion, start with council, and then the remaining public comment in this forum. Kyle, are you on the line?
Hi, Wes.
Kyle, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'm on the line.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Jackie, can we move to the slide presentation?
Good morning, Kyle, and thank you for joining us with this presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, members of the council, Madam Mayor, city staff, and members of the public. So as Wes mentioned, this is a continuation of the first cannabis workshop that we held on February 26th. So Jackie, can you go to the next slide? So the agenda for today is to review the ordinance amendments that were made from our first cannabis workshop. And then the second item on the agenda is to get some policy direction on some remaining items from the first workshop. And then the third and fourth items are to review the application documents as well as the draft regulatory fees. So Jackie, can you move to, thank you. Okay, so this is a summary of the ordinance amendments that we have made so far. These all pertain to chapter 5.32. So we have removed the requirement of.
We can't hear you. Your voice is breaking up.
I agree.
Okay. Is that better now?
No, you're still breaking up.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to try to switch my mic. 1 second.
It was better, Kyle.
That's better?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is better.
Okay. Well, just let me know if I break up and then I can repeat what I just said.
Okay, Kyle,
Okay,
go forward.
so for the first ordinance amendment, we removed the requirement of the city access to surveillance footage. So that can be, all these amendments are highlighted on the draft ordinance that you received in your agenda packet. So this is on page 25. The next amendment is the addition.
You're breaking up again.
Okay. This may be a internet issue. Hold on one sec. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, now you sound a little bit better.
Okay, perfect. So the second ordinance amendment is the addition of the industrial wastewater permit for cultivation facilities. So that's on page 35. Next, we prohibited volatile manufacturing. So under the city's ordinance, only non-volatile extraction activities are permitted. Next, we added in the changes from the fire department regarding the manufacturing operating requirements. These can be seen on page 37. Next, we also added the addition of the requirement for the industrial wastewater permit for manufacturing facilities. And then lastly, we, under the micro business operating requirements, we defined the definition of a wall. So that's on page 38.
Can I stop you for 1 second? Marty, could you at least identify who's present at the meeting since we're not there?
Okay, yeah, let's do a roll call really quick. So, Councilmember Fertilla,
I'm here.
Councilmember Douglas,
I'm here without the video.
Councilmember Burris. Here. Our Mayor Pro Tem Sean Lohman is not present, and Mayor Mendoza is present. Thank you, Joe. Can you continue, Kyle?
Yes. So does anyone have any questions regarding to the changes that we've made so far?
Does council have any questions?
I have a whole series of questions that walk through the whole document, at least the part that I've read.
Okay,
And
can
I
you save
have
that?
an
Can
issue
you
I'd
save
like
that
to
to
bring
the
up.
end, Joe? Can you save that to the end when I come back to you guys? Let's get through what his presentation is.
Okay. Okay, I'll run through this and then we can go back to the individual slides to answer questions at the end. Okay, Jackie, can you move to the next slide? Okay, so next we'll discuss some items remaining from the previous workshop, which we need policy direction on. So the first one is medicinal versus adult use activities. Currently, under the city's ordinance, cannabis activities are restricted to medicinal cannabis activities only. So we would like to receive direction whether the city would like to allow adult use activities. Jackie, can you move to the next slide? The next topic is the cap on the number of cannabis permits. Currently, only retail activities are allowed in the number of businesses is capped at 1. So we need policy direction on whether the city would like to modify the number of retail permits. And then for the additional cannabis activities that we are adding to the ordinance, would the city like to place a cap on the other cannabis activities. Next slide. This one pertains to the section regarding suspension or revocation of a permit. This was a question posed by Mick. Should we add a time horizon to this? So if a cannabis business within the city, if their business permit is suspended or revocated, do we want to put up some time horizon that would prevent the business from reapplying for their permit within some time period, such as a year, 6 months, or 2 years? Next slide. The next topic is regarding security personnel. The city's existing ordinance requires on-site security 24/7 for all cannabis businesses. Under the state regulations, on-site security personnel is only required for retail businesses and only during normal hours of operation. So it's not required 24/7. So we want to receive direction today to see whether the city would like to align with state regulations or to make some modifications to that. Next slide. This was a question that was posed by council. We received direction to explore language to allow amendments by the ordinance through a resolution. Mick did some research on this, and essentially ordinances must be amended using the same process by which they are adopted. So holding 2 readings of the ordinance and having a public hearing. He did point out that it's not unusual for an ordinance to allow, for example, the establishment or modification of fees or promulgation of rules by resolution. Next slide. So moving on to Title 17, the zoning locational requirements. Currently under the city's existing ordinance, it requires cannabis businesses to be located 200 feet from any residentially zoned parcel and 600 feet from any public or private school, K through 12, any commercial daycare center, youth center, church, or city, county, or federal government building. Currently, these zoning requirements are more restrictive than what the state requires. So at the bottom of the slide, you can see that at the state level, the locational requirements require that a business can't be located within a 600-foot radius of a school, K through 12, a daycare center, or a youth center. So we want to receive policy direction as to what the city would like to do with their zoning requirements. Next slide. This is the proposed locations where the different cannabis activities are allowed to set up their business. So we want to receive policy direction on the proposed zoning. Next slide. So next, we would like to review the application and procedure guidelines. So essentially, the application process will be a 3-step process. Step 1 is the determination of eligibility in the application. So essentially, the owner who is submitting the application is required to undergo a background check. Under step 1, they also have to receive zoning verification for their proposed location. And the final process of this step is to review the application for completeness. So on the right hand of the slide, in that blue box there, these are all the sections that are required to be submitted with the application. So essentially, we will go through each application and make sure that all the proper documentation is submitted before it moves on to step 2, which is staff and third-party review. Essentially, for this step, the application will go under a detailed review for local and state compliance. Once the review has completed and no additional documentation is needed from the applicant, this information will be forwarded to the city manager. A public hearing will be held at a city council meeting, and the city manager, based on the review of the application, will make a recommendation to the city council. The applicant at this public hearing will have an opportunity to give a presentation to the city council, and then the city council will have the opportunity to either approve, deny, or continue this application to another city council meeting. Next slide. So these are the draft regulatory fees. So SCI conducted a regulatory fee study in conjunction with city staff. So essentially, we estimated the time and cost it would take to review applications and also conduct the annual commercial cannabis compliance. So the fees listed on the left-hand slide are the proposed fees. So for application review step 1, the proposed fee is $903. For step 2, it is $2,627 per application. Step 3 is $3,686. The annual cannabis business permit fee is currently proposed at $35,520 for the first year. This fee is high because this is based on direction from City Council that they wanted to recoup the costs of the cost of amending the ordinance. So those costs are built in, so it includes SCI's costs as well as any city costs that have gone into this. So after the first year, the fees will reduce to $7,011 per year. Essentially, the annual compliance regulatory permit fees fund 2 inspections per year and a annual financial audit. And the criminal background check is proposed at $450 per background check. So next slide. So this slide just kind of gives you a little breakdown of how the hours are allocated and the costs are come up. So on the last line item in that table, you can see the cannabis implementation costs. So to date, the city has incurred a total cost of $28,509. This amount is likely to increase a little bit as we complete this process, but currently the total estimated annual cost recovery during the first year will be $35,000 and $35,520. Okay, so I believe this is the last slide. So I think at this point we can open it up to discussion. We can move back to each of the slides and go through each topic one by one. So I think what we'll do is we'll start with the summary of the ordinance amendments that have been made to date, and we'll get feedback on that. And then next we'll move over to the policy direction.
Great. So at this point, I'm going to open up to council, and I'd like to refer to Councilmember Futila. Can you start with your questions that you have, please?
Yeah, so first problem I have is this is about a 90-some page package that got put out that came out yesterday. and there's not sufficient time between yesterday and today to do a review of every one of the pages in the package. So this meeting, I think, needs to be continued after we've been given sufficient time to read, review, and mark up the package. So that's the first problem I have. Is there any discussion on that?
Councilmember Douglas, do you have any input on that? Councilmember Burris, do you have any input on that?
So although, we do understand that, typically only 24 hours would be required for this type of meeting, I actually do have to agree with Joe that in this case, because it is a 90-page document and we are talking about a very, very sensitive subject, I would hate to push this faster than maybe we are prepared to move forward on it. And I say that because not only do I have concerns about council's time to review it, but I'm also concerned about stakeholders' time to review the material. So my question would be, do we have anything scheduled for the morning of May 13th that we couldn't push this to that date? We do.
Yeah, and I
With
have
budget
something
review
on May
morning.
13th as well.
Okay. So if we were to continue this meeting, and with time sensitivity in mind, again, I don't want to delay this process longer than necessary. If we were to continue it, and I'm asking staff, when would be the soonest that we could continue this meeting to?
Thank you, Councilmember Burris. This is Wes. We could do the 13th, but that gives us 2 meetings back to back, the regular session and this workshop. I think I heard from Councilmember Fatula that needed a couple weeks to review. So staff can do either. We can either agendize it for the morning of the 13th or agendize it for the morning of the 20th, whatever the pleasure is of the council.
So I actually have a big wildfire presentation Zoom meeting that I'm going to be putting out to the public on the 13th. I don't know if that, I don't have my phone with me. I don't know if that's in the afternoon. But if that's the case, I cannot attend this particular cannabis workshop. Public safety takes priority over.
Joe, it sounded like you had an additional comment.
Yeah, I have here's kind of my thought of how this would be, maybe so we can get through this thing once cleanly and move forward. What I would like to do is, I've got about in my reading of this from about 5 o'clock last night till about 2 a.m. I've got about 30 different items. Some are questions. I don't understand the language in part of it. Some are definitional. We have terms used like volatile, and then in non-volatile, and then in the next sentence we use the words with the opposite meaning, just some ambiguity in there. And then I got a few areas where I think we've missed a couple of key points. And I think it would be good to get those exchanged maybe before the meeting, because maybe half of them could be answered. Otherwise, like I'm thinking right now, I probably need, I don't know, about an hour to go through the points that I identified from last night.
So Mick, I defer to you, but I certainly think that we could probably answer Council Members Fatula's questions. And if there's still some concerns, we could add those items to the next workshop agenda. Would you concur?
Yeah, I agree with that. It would be good if those could be submitted for our review and we could respond. And I agree with Joe. We could probably clear up a good portion of them.
Yeah, and I'll try to just illustrate one. It's like one of the items comes up with is limitations on liabilities for the city. And as I'm thinking through this, it says, how can we treat this different than we do like a permit for a construction project? in a construction project where somebody's building a hotel or something, they have to furnish a bond so that if they go out of business anywheres along the way before they complete their activity, the city's not left hanging a bag. And I'm wondering why a bond would not be required for similar activities in this case, so that if there's some liability on cities, on potential damages for the city that would have to be covered by the owner of the permit, that's protected in case the owner simply withdraws all his money from the business and declares bankruptcy and the city's left holding the thing. So I have questions like that maybe are easy to answer or difficult to answer or need a council action to answer.
Okay, Mayor, this is Wes again. I just need direction from council of whether we agendize this on the 13th. It sounds like if Joe's got this many questions and it's going to take staff some time to review and respond to that and to get it re-agendized, the 20th sounds like a more realistic timeline, unless there's objection from council.
Yeah, so if we can place this on the 20th, that would be great. And again, Vice Mayor Sean Lohman is not here. So he's out on an emergency right now. So he would be able to be present in this meeting.
Mhm. And have we heard from Councilmember Douglas on his opinion yet?
Yeah, I already reached out to him. Councilmember Douglas, did you have anything to comment? I thought I touched base with you.
I was on the phone and the computer, but my phone, I guess, was muted, but I'm back on the computer. So, no, I agree with all of this.
Okay, great. Thank you, Councilmember Douglas. All right, so we're going to move this meeting off until the 20th of May. Should I go for public comment? Yeah, let's go for public comment. Do I have any public comment out there or anybody that disagrees with us out in public comment on moving this meeting to May the 20th? We'll wait for a few minutes. Do you have anything?
Madam Mayor, it looks like Wendy Dion's got her hand up.
Okay, can we get Wendy Dion's question, please?
Jackie, you're probably gonna have to unmute her.
We're working on it.
Okay.
Wendy just commented she can type it in.
So Wendy has just commented that she will type it in. I guess she doesn't have the availability to a microphone on the streaming device that she's coming in this meeting.
While we're waiting for that, could I ask the presenter a question?
Kyle, you still on the line?
Yes, I am.
So Kyle, in that draft fees, you have a footnote number 3 that says Exhibit A. I don't see Exhibit A in the package.
Okay, Wes, I think I sent you a PDF of the various regulatory fee sheets that included Exhibit A. Do we want to include that in the revised packet? Wes, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, we should include it. Let's get that back to me. If you could send it to me again, and I'll get it circulated to council by the end of the day.
Okay, great.
And then the second part to that question is, you list a number of 7011-7011. And my question is, where does that number come from? And if we tie it to today's rates, that means every time a component of that changes, we got to go back through this process again. If we simply detailed out, here's the components that go into that, and then let the city managers set the value of those like once a year or something like that, we don't have to review that exact number should the dollars change.
Yes, so the 7,000 amount is the annual cannabis permit fee that the businesses are required to pay. So if you see on the slide right here on your screen, that is a breakdown of that fee. So currently, for the first year, this includes the cannabis implementation costs. So that's why it's showing the annual cost recovery at 35,000 and change. But after that first year, once city cannabis implementation costs are recovered, then the fee will reduce down to 7,000. And essentially what that covers is 2 inspections per year. And council, you can weigh in on this. If you want to make the fees cheaper, you could reduce the number of annual inspections. And lastly, that 7,000 amount also includes an annual financial audit. So that's what that fee funds per year.
Okay, so just if I look at this chart that you have up here right now, show me which elements on this chart total to 7011.
Okay, so the first section of the chart, we have preparation, facility inspection, oversight, and reporting. So the breakdown for that, 2 inspections per year at 1,500 per inspection, totaling 3,000. And then the next portion, so if we exclude cannabis implementation costs, if you add in the 3,875 for the financial audit, and then the 136 for permit renewal, that adds to the 7,000 amount.
Okay, it would be good to have a little detail that shows that, because then we can tie it to the detail and not to the dollar amount, so that should any of those things change over time, we don't have to go back and revisit this.
Okay. Yes, I can make that more clear.
Thank you.
Okay, so Wendy Dion's question is here. We need to know what the difference between retail and retail and retailer on page 12 of the zoning. Do you have an answer for that, Kyle?
Let me take a look. Hold on one sec.
And can you see her question on your screen?
Yeah, I can see the question.
Okay, great.
Okay, that just looks like a typo. It means the same thing. It should just be retailer. So that's on the zoning table.
Okay, thank you. And is there any other public questions out there so that we can address them now before we close the meeting and put it out until May the 20th? Okay. And also, I want to remind everybody that's joining on these different streams of live media that if you would like to have your questions listed out and send them into the city clerk between now and May the 20th, we can do that as well, because other questions might pop up, between those dates. So let's go ahead and do that, where public comment or questions can be sent through to our wonderful city clerk, Jacqueline.
Mayor, it looks like Wendy had a subset question there as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just seeing that right now. Okay, so Kyle, her other question is, has the city applied for the grant to help offset cost for the startup cannabis businesses? I guess that could go to you too, Ed.
Yeah, that's probably more appropriate for me. At this time, the staff has not pursued the grants. We have limited resources here, and our focus has been on some of the other grant applications, including the CDBG and the regional board. for the sewer focus. If we were to pursue the grant, we would obviously need some technical assistance from probably SCI, which would probably add some additional cost and some delays to the process as well too. If that's the direction council would wish to give to the city staff, and we can certainly do that, but it will delay the process.
Okay, so let's open that up to Councilmember Fatula. What do you think about the grant writing process? Is that something that we should be chasing after?
Yeah, it seems like if you look at the sequence of things, first thing we got to do is get through this ordinance and get it so that we've agreed to it. Once we have that, then we know the direction we're going on this, so you'd know what could or couldn't be pursued. I think it's just a phase 2 question, not a phase 1 question.
Okay, great. And so then that's going to push this out with a big delay. So let's just wrap up today and we'll come back to those questions. So again, we're going to put this meeting off until May the 20th, this workshop. This is a special workshop on the cannabis.
And as part of that, can we have all documentation out, say 3 or 4 days before the meeting so that we don't get stuck with a 92-page package and no time to review it?
Yeah, let's make sure that we have our normal, what is it, 72 hours at least?
Madam Mayor, I do apologize. We had a very short window of time for staff to review the documents to get them out.
Wes, we're also in the COVID, so we've got a lot going around the COVID. That's not an excuse, but I'm just saying.
So just for the council and the public's knowledge, the packet will be pretty much the same with the exception of the additional items that Kyle mentioned today. But those items will be released by the end of today. So council will have a full 2 weeks, council and the public will have full 2 weeks to review the documents.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so with that being said, this is item 3, which is adjournment. Meeting, workshop, special workshop for the cannabis is closed. Can you mark the time, Jacqueline? Thank you.